So most of y'all know I have been on the school board since 2020. A great time. COVID was here. Life was good. No, it wasn't. And about a year and a half ago, we were coming out of COVID, facing significant learning loss with lots of our kids. There was a lot of uncertainty, massive overcrowding, just a few things were happening. And we decided to make a change. And it was the best thing we could have done. We changed and we brought Dr. Jimmy Sullivan, who sadly I did not vote for. We had 3 ideal candidates, but I voted for the other candidates. But I told him afterwards, I said, I'm ready for you to hit the ground running because he is a go-getter. And I said, and my vote means nothing. You've got my full support. And he has hit the ground running. For the last 14 months since he took the helm, we have basically turned morale around. It was in the toilet. Our teachers, staff, everybody was miserable. Almost immediately, that was calm with Dr. One of their own is here. He listened. He did a tour of all the schools. Immediately, we have 50 schools, ladies and gentlemen. He went and talked to them. He found out what they were thinking, how they were feeling, and we immediately put a task to changing things. And it's like we've done a 180, and we've still got massive growth, and we're doing this little thing called rezoning the entire county. But I am proud we were able to give our staff raises that were significant, and that was no small feat. And we were able to turn in a balanced budget. I think it's the first one we've ever done, and that meant hours and hours and hours. And we're a little needy at times. I know I'm not the only one calling him. The other board members are too, but he always, if he doesn't pick up right away, he calls right back. We feel like we have a true partner with him, and trust me, your kids are in good hands in this system. We have a great system. We're level 5. We can just build some more schools, and that's kind of out of our hands, but we're working on that. We'll be in great shape. So without no further ado, Dr. James Sullivan.
I'm going to struggle. Does that thing video me? Oh, because I'm a teacher, so I really struggle not to walk. So I think I did that last year. I walked around. So
I'll follow you around.
All right, as long as we're good, because I just cannot sit still. So I'm Jimmy Sullivan, Rutherford County Director of Schools. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell, for all the nice things that you said. It's an honor and a privilege to serve as the Director of Schools. I'm from Rutherford County. I went to Walter Hill Kindergarten through 8th grade, then Oakland. So this is home. What is unique is that I have 2 students in our school system. So I have a 6th grader at Central, and then a 4th grader. I can't believe he's a 4th grader, but at Christian Elementary School. So just wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about really where we are as a district. What have we done over the last year? What are our focus areas right now? And then give you time to ask questions, because I do feel like that's important. If we're talking about a financial aspect, we're the largest part of the county budget. And so I think it's good for you to have time to be able to ask questions. What are we doing and kind of what areas are we going? So first, let's just talk about the state of Rutherford County. Kind of where are we right now? So you're good about walking? You're sure? You're good? All right. That's good to do. That's about as long as I can say that. State of Rutherford County. So we are just across 51,000 students, K through 12. As we started talking this school year, we started looking at our districts that are like us, our peer districts. And one of the vendors we used said, here are your peer districts. Which ones do you want to be compared to? You have San Francisco Unified, Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit City, Michigan. And I was like, whoa, I think we misunderstood peer group. I don't know what you're talking. That is not Rutherford County, Tennessee. But based on enrollment, that is Rutherford County, Tennessee. We're a top 90 school system in the United States of America for enrollment. And what is unique is that we are still growing. The rest of those big districts outside of Texas and North Carolina and Florida, most of the big districts are shrinking. We're going the opposite direction. So one of our big challenges is the school system. When you think about those school systems, they're usually not successful. Their kids struggle. They have teacher openings. How do we not become that? And so we really have 3 focus areas for this school year. First one is collaborative culture. And that's not just something we're saying that because it sounds nice. Oh, let's collaborate. Let's have a good culture. That has to be what we do right, or our school system will fail. And ultimately our community will start struggling. because we have to make sure we have that. Second one is we want to have efficient operations. I know that's not the most exciting thing to talk about in the world. We want to be efficient in what we do, whether that is making sure that our students get to school on time, our bus transportation, whether we have subs, whether we are using the right vendors, making sure our people get paid on time, all those different types of things we have to get right. And then I'm not leaving it last on purpose, but student outcomes is our third focus area. And so I'm not saying student outcomes are the least important, but if we don't have the culture and we don't have the operations, the student outcomes are going to struggle. So that's kind of what our three main focus areas for this school year are. And hitting back to what it was last year, we had three main focus areas last year. One was to avoid the political noise, and kind of calm things back down. Miss Maxwell mentioned that touring all 50 schools, that is my favorite week of the year. So the first week of every school year, I go and I visit and talk to every faculty for about 10 minutes, just to share what our three goals are and to just talk about what successes we've had. And that's my favorite part of the entire school year, just to get that pulse and kind of get us started on the right way. So we talked about, when you hear on the national media a lot of controversy, you see it as school system versus parents. And we're not interested in that. We're on the same team with our parents and our community. I say this because I have two of my own, but thank God the kids go home at the end of the day. I mean, realistically, we're very grateful they go home and don't stay with us all day long. And we're not in competition with parents. We're on the same teams. We've tried to really get that message, and if there's something we need to address, we'll address it and take care of it. So that was one of our issues. The second one was to increase morale, and we've really focused a lot on making sure we increased morale. And then third was to make sure our classrooms were good. We can have the best students, the best curriculum, the best technology, the best funding. If we don't have people in the classroom, it doesn't matter. And so we've made a lot of progress in that. So let's kind of talk about where we're moving. Talk about where we were, talk about where we're moving. So we're over 51,000 kids. We're averaging still over 1,000 students new per year that are coming to us from all over the place. They just continually move each and every day. We have the unique distinction of having the largest elementary school in the state, Seward Creek Elementary. We have the largest two middle schools in the state, Blackman Middle that is over 1,700 and Rockville Middle that is 1,545-ish the other day. And then we don't have the largest high school because thank goodness Collierville got one for their entire town and it fits 4,000 kids in it. So we never want to get there, but thank goodness they built that one. But we have every one of our 8 comprehensive high schools is in the top 15. So only 2 of them are currently sitting under 2,000 and they're like 1920 and 1960. So they're very close to that. So we're doing a really good job. My concern is that as we continue to get bigger, our focus gets more on operations and safety and less on academics because they're just so big. They're like a college campus. So that's kind of where we are. The big reason to celebrate, and I hope even if you don't have a kid, grandkids, any family member in our school system, what I am most proud of is the work that our community, our teachers, and our students did last year. So the state of Tennessee ranks school districts, and Ms. Maxwell alluded to it. They rank you on how much growth do your students achieve. And that is from, we can never control what students enter our school system. Murfreesboro City feeds into us. We have thousands of kids moving to us each year. We can't control how they enter our school system. But something we talk about daily is that no matter how they enter, growth has to occur for our kids, no matter what. There's no excuse for kids not to grow academically. The state ranks you on a system of 1 through 5, with 3 being the middle. 5, their definition is school system that is exceeding expectations. So they set a bar for what your kids should do, and then you go above that. And so we were a level 5 school district, not only just in overall, but we were a level 5 school district in every single subject area. Math, English, social studies, science. We had the highest level of highest number of level 5 schools that we've ever had. We had 26 of our 48 schools that were tested at level 5 schools. And so our teachers and our staff are doing an amazing job with what they have. And that's something that we should be proud of, that our public school system for the entire county is truly doing an amazing job. Only other parts I want to talk about before we kind of hit to what we are looking at next is that our progress, we are now hitting one of our big challenge areas. And Ms. Maxwell hit on this as well. We realize that our public and our community really has 2 reasons to be interested in what we're doing. One, of course, they have personal connections with people in our school system, but second, we cost a fortune. Our school system budget this year is $518 million. $518 million. Now, what do we do per student? Our per student, because that number is astounding when you hear it out loud. But we also have 51,000 kids. And so just some rough math, we're at about $10,000 per kid. We're still in the bottom 15% of school systems of what we spend per kid across the state. And so we do a lot with what we have. And we're very, very, very proud of that. That we truly, our funding is in our people, it's in our health benefits, and it's in our curriculum. That's pretty much where our entire budget goes to. And so why do I talk about the budget portion being so important? Yes, we did have a balanced budget. That is important. We got a lot of new state funding to help us balance that budget. That's part of the reality. The second, though, is although the county, of course, had to have a property tax increase, we actually reduced how much we were requiring because of that saving. So our general purpose school system, and without getting too far in the weeds, because I've heard it multiple times, you guys, school systems, the reason we've had a tax increase, and that's just not the truth. Is the growth part of it? Sure. But what we asked of the county was our tax rate was 69 cents last year. This past year, or right now, it's 59 cents. So we decreased how much we were requesting. And then for our capital projects, which helps us with our maintenance and buildings, it was 11 cents last year and it's 10 cents this year. And so we actually decreased to be able to cover some of those high school additions. Now, that's not to say that our county commission realizes they have to fund a huge school system, and we are the largest part of the county's budget. But anytime that we have that opportunity, I think that's good to talk about, is we truly did that in partnership with our county commission. We didn't ask for 1 penny more of our operating budget than we did the year before, despite having so many students. So that's something we're proud of. And the last, and I hate to say it for last because it's the one that is the least fun, and I hope to be, I've asked several people, I think my favorite thing about this is that I got invited back for year 2, which means Ms. Maxwell didn't fire me in year 1. So that is promising. Like, that is good. I made it through year 2. My goal is to make it for year 3. But we're doing a massive rezoning for our entire school system. And so as being a big school system, before we can go and ask our funding body, the county commission, to fund extra buildings, we have to show that we're using the seats that we already have. We have seats at Plainview, we have seats at John Coleman, we have seats at Rocky Fork Middle School, some at Smyrna Middle School. You notice I'm not mentioning in high school, we don't really have any seats at high school. So you'll see that our rezoning plan really focuses a lot on elementary, middle, and then trying to fill up. We have 3 new high school additions coming online at Smyrna, Riverdale, and Oakland in 2 years. And then we're going to try to use some of those seats. But in order for us to go to the county commission and say, give us another building, the funding for another building, we have to show we're using the seats we already have. And so that is part of a massive rezoning district-wide. Again, my goal is to try to survive into year 3. I've talked to my directors of school colleagues, and they're like, I don't know anybody that survived a district-wide rezoning. I was like, thanks, guys. You could have told me before we embarked upon this journey. Thanks, I gotta go get your feet, but we're not gonna bring that up. That's a different story. But no, seriously, that is something that our district has embarked upon. We had 3 public input meetings last week. And so we are truly not every single person is being rezoned, but every area of the county is seeing some type of massive rezone. And so that's something that is new for us. We usually just kind of, when we open a school, we just do a couple areas, and that's left our district very unbalanced. And so we're shifting some of it. So that was kind of the 10 or 15 minute overview that I wanted to give. And then we did this last year. I did about a 10 or 15 minutes. And then I just opened it up to questions to see what questions you guys have. There is nothing that is off the table, because I felt like that was probably some of our most beneficial conversations that we had last year. And so feel free to shoot away with any questions you have. Yes, sir.
So we're still adding 1,000 students a year.
Yes.
Roughly, we used to call that 1 school a year.
Correct.
And you're talking about a countywide rezoning. Aren't you just basically walking into the hornet's nest, because as soon as you build the school, you're going to have to rezone it again?
You are 100% correct.
Right.
Well, now, We are going to, but our plans actually account for those new schools.
Okay.
So when we are, I'll tell you right now, the main one that we're focused on, that's a great question, is we're doing elementary zoning first. So it's phasing in, nobody really will be rezoned next year. So our first year for the rezoning that goes into effect is 25-26. That way we're giving our parents time to know, hey, if you really don't want to be in this school zone, you have time to. But the first one is elementary, because we hope to have a new elementary school on the baby property we purchased back this summer. And we'll go to the county commission to hopefully fund that, and February is our goal. And if we don't get that new elementary school, then there's no reason for us to rezone. So we know where it is. Same thing for middle gets rezoned 26-27. If we don't get a new middle school, there's no reason to rezone them. We'll just, and this is just me being frank, we'll just purchase 30 and 40 portables here. That's what we have to do. We don't have the room and schools for our kids. The only place for them to go is portables. I was educated as a kid in this county in a portable, and so I'm not necessarily against portables, but if we don't have classrooms, that's the only place for the kids to go. But yes, great question. Otherwise, you're right. We'd rezone everybody this year, open a new school, and everybody would move in. Great question. Yes, ma'am.
How many middle schools and high schools have a pathway for skill trades? And if they all don't, what is the plan to
Yes.
get them?
Absolutely. They all do. And so we're Knox County may have joined us. There's 16 career pathways. We were the only county as of last year that offered all 16 career pathways. Whether that is from finance to construction to health sciences, we offer them all. Now, they're not all at each school, and that's kind of where we get to the next point. There's a new grant from the governor that is Innovative Schools Model, and we are trying to build at least one CTE center on the north end first, so that if we have kids that go to Stewart Street High School and they're interested in construction, HVAC, we don't have that at Stewart Street High. Instead, that's at Smyrna right now. And we shouldn't determine opportunities just based on what zone a kid lives. And so that's what we're trying to get built next. So that's probably 2 years. But all of them do. All of our middle schools also have CTE career pathways. The only ones that you can have in middle school are STEM, health science, and just a little bit of engineering. But every one of our middle schools has those.
I'm gonna brag on this just a minute too. When we go to these large conferences and they talk about, especially when we go to statewide conference, and they talk about these unique CT, we have some of the most unique CT. We have a flight simulator at Siegel High School. I mean, I don't know anybody in the state that's got a flight simulator. And we have Megatronics over at Oakland. And robotics. I mean, we have really unique things as well as skilled labors, the HVAC. We're trying to touch some kid, their interest level at every button.
Yeah, and my focus is more on, those are a high level pathway. I'm talking about,
We got cosmetology,
manufacturing jobs, skilled trade as far as machine operators and maintenance. Those types of areas is where we have a huge shortage
Oh, I agree.
in the county of those.
Do we have plumbing yet?
Yeah.
We do have plumbing.
We do. Plumbing and electrical, we have the 2 schools.
Yeah. Yeah, but it
Where-
goes a step further into manufacturing in the skill set that they look for.
Kind of what, and I know, Randy and I talked about this previously. One of our biggest areas that we struggle with, just community wide, is the next step, at least from the school system's viewpoint, is apprenticeships. And we really struggle with apprenticeships because your kids need to be 18 in most corporations for liability. And our seniors aren't 18 yet. And so that's probably one of our biggest hurdles. We have one with Rossville Brown. We have one with Waste Management. So we've got a couple that have started, and we're hoping as those show success, then our community will jump on it.
So if a child, young man, young woman wants to go to the Megatronics program, but they live out of that school zone,
There's no way for them to at this
Right
point.
now, but hopefully we'll fix that,
Yeah.
just like we're fixing it for the north. I think we'd like to have something in the south too, and that's my whole thing too. When I ran, I was frustrated because some of our more popular ones were at certain schools. And there were some schools that really didn't have anything that, I'm supposed to use that word pop. In fact, I'm gonna tell you right now, Riverdale didn't have anything that pop. There was nothing other than just your love of the school and maybe some sports to send you to that school. What doesn't, it's getting there, it's getting, back in the 90s, we had a wonderful construction program. that we kind of shifted away from. It was everything gonna go to college. Well, that's now, mindset has changed and everything's different, and they're getting all that back now. And so they've got some really wonderful, they have an audio visual, it's just started up at Brookville. So it is my main school in my zone. So I was very, Jimmy will tell you, we gotta fix this. We gotta make all of our schools attractive schools. So.
Yes, sir.
So that's a good point, and is it up to the school, or is it up to you guys or the commission as to whether or not if there's a program offered at one school and this school doesn't offer it, does the school that offers the program have to say that you can come, or we don't have enough program to do that? Who makes that decision?
So we used to be able to do it as a county school system, and so we used to be able to offer open seats. State law changed 2 years ago, so that now we have to, any schools that have open seats, which luckily or not luckily for us, there's not many because they're so overcrowded. We have to publish open seats, and then it has to be a lottery for who gets to get them. And so let's say the mechatronics program, somebody may just want to go to Oakland because they want to go to Oakland, may not be interested in the mechatronics program. They have just as good chance of getting that lottery as anyone else. But our eventual goal is to have a CT center in the north and the south. We're gonna try it on the north end first because our north end has a little bit less of the CT pathways than the south end does. And so that's our first go at it. And hopefully it'll build from there. If I got something, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my daughter's a junior.
Mhm.
She loves chemistry. There's no pathway at Stewart's Creek for chemistry. So her pathway is culinary.
Mhm.
Because she's been culinary for 30 years, she really likes culinary, but she wants to do chemistry.
Yep.
And so because there's nothing at Stewart's Creek that gives her a chemistry pathway, doesn't she lose something going into a college if she's not on a chemistry skills pathway?
Not, so the first way it'd have to be one of the 16, and chemistry is not one the state identifies. So that's our first problem, is we have to use one of the 16 career pathways, and the closest one that they would have would probably be animal and health science to chemistry, because the state doesn't identify chemistry as a career pathway. They consider it more of an educational route. So, great, I mean, it's a great point. Yes, it's a great point. Yeah. I mean, to show you how much chemistry is falling, chemistry used to be a required state assessment that all high school students took. It's no longer required for kids to even take it. So, yeah.
The assessment of the class.
Do what?
You need the assessment, not the class, right?
You don't necessarily have to take chemistry. As long as you get 3 years of science, you don't have to take chemistry. I hate to say this secret, but I have a doctorate degree and I've never taken chemistry. No, I shouldn't admit that publicly, probably a bad thing to say. I took anatomy and physiology, and then astronomy, biology, and biophysics. I never took the chemistry class.
Next year, she has the option between chemistry or physics.
Yep.
She's not gonna take physics, she's gonna take chemistry.
Okay,
So you don't have to take physics anymore.
no, you don't. You literally, you have to have 3 years of science. You have to take physical science, you have to take biology because it is the one the state requires for testing. What is so unique about high schools have 7 tests. And that's really outside that the state requires you. You have to take algebra 1, algebra 2, algebra 3, English 1, English 2, biology, and US history. And so those are the only 7 that you're required to take. Yes, you have to have 4 years of English, another 4 year, another math, but those are the only tested subject areas. So
Also, is Stewart Street the only one on this new class schedule with 4 classes one semester, 4 classes the next semester?
they're the only one piloting it, yes. So they asked
Because it's
permission to
not-
pilot. They asked permission to pilot.
My daughter hates.
Yeah, because Greg is getting all of her, let's say, fun courses
Mhm.
the first semester,
Then I'll
and then
test it.
one fun course she's in yearbook all year long, and then she has
All the
AP and
testing.
honors the second semester. I'm like, why couldn't they have split this up? You're
Yeah.
getting all your hard stuff next.
That's
semester.
good feedback, because I take it back, they're not the only one. Eagleville is also doing it, but Eagleville's so small, they can do things a little bit different.
And I've talked to her friends, 2 of her friends have the same type of schedule.
Yeah, and we would do that because the way, and I hate to say, go back to assessment, when you go back to testing, you're gonna test on a fall block, there are less days. And so they would be taking their AP assessments the second week in November, so they've had less school days than they did the second semester. So that's the reasoning behind it. You have more school days the second semester than you do the first semester. So, Saw a couple of things.
How's the virtual school been going?
Yeah, so virtual school's actually done very well. I know the way I said that sounded rough. But virtual schools across the state traditionally don't perform well. I don't know another virtual school that's been a level 5 school, but ours was this year. We do things a little bit differently. So we have capped enrollment at our virtual school. So we've stopped it at 350. It could probably get bigger, but we want to make sure that ultimately kids are successful in that environment. And so we have 200 high school students, 150 3rd through 8th graders. We stopped it at 3rd. Third's a little bit hard of a sell for me too, because there's just some of those fundamental years you need in person. And so it is doing well. What is different about ours is that we still require live instruction. So most virtual schools across the state, you actually only have to have access to instruction. The teacher doesn't have to provide them live instruction, and we still require it. So I think that's probably the difference that has helped us be a little bit more successful. Now, we've definitely taken some parent flack from that because they're like, I want virtual school so that I don't have to do that. And if that's the situation, then homeschool is the best option for you because we have to educate our kids. So, yes, sir.
I noticed in my students, a very large weakness in both math and writing. And how do we address that at the high school level or even at the middle school level?
Yeah.
They do not, in my view, they do not meet college level standards in either math or writing, particularly math most specifically.
Yeah, math. So we went down a state pathway that they suggested us to do about 8 years ago. It was a algebra 1. We used to have algebra 1, algebra 2 geometry. We switched and went to integrated 1, integrated 2, integrated 3, where the concepts were supposed to be together. In reality, our students didn't do well. And so this is our first year back to the traditional algebra 1, algebra 2 geometry. I don't think that's going to fix it all. But the other aspect of that is over the last decade or so, we've truly taught this conceptual framework and not necessarily how to do the math. And so we have to get back to actually, how do you, that's great if you can explain it and understand it. If you can't do the math, explaining it does no good.
I'm sorry to,
How's the math teacher?
sorry to put a damper on that a little bit, but I'm not talking algebra, geometry. I'm talking
Basic math.
multiplication tables, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And it is a foreign skill to do those 4 functions.
Yeah.
And my view is you can't get through life without being able to do those.
There's a
4 functions.
relying on.
They're TV and, and all that stuff, but I need them to do it in their head
Yep.
in my courses.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Really screw somebody up. Try to give them, because you want $5 in change.
Yeah,
And they literally have to get out their phone to figure it out.
yes.
Yeah.
That goes back to that whole conceptual thing. We have made a complete transition to stop worrying about the conceptual so much and actually know how to do the math.
Okay.
So that's
I've
been
come to the point where I make out a multiplication table so they can have it and just refer to it. Because I'm not kidding. College students.
Any numbers out everything. Are we talking about past 10?
yeah.
Wow.
Following on, 2 things. Writing. What if you have standards for written work?
Great question.
All levels, at least from 6th grade.
Yeah, great question. So yes, we do have standards for writing in all grade levels. What is different for us, and we switched this probably 3 years ago, cursive was no longer required. We went back and required cursive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little while to get there because those kids that had it are probably only in 7th grade at this point. It's gonna take a while for them to get back through there.
And one final thing, I've lived here 22 years. None of my children, they were already in college when I moved here. I have not a clue what is going on in the school system. I can't remember any time that I've been sent any information. If you're getting lots of families in, many don't have children or whatever, I would encourage you to think about some form of this is what we're trying to do in the school system. And these are and if you have any
Great idea.
I would have come to you for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, great idea.
Because I have been in a number of school systems, I've been private as well as public. you don't ask, get rid of it.
I will tell you, I am running for reelection, and you are in my zone, you're fixing to get a postcard in October. with all
Postcards are great, but my suggestion might be on the internet.
Mhm.
And one of the things you need to do is you need to get people's email to the extent they're willing to give it, and say, here's a sampling, come to here.
Great suggestion.
Even at a town hall meeting, but
Well, but
some people come, some people, the ones that bitch won't come. But
no, once it gets to, oh, they come.
some of them.
Yes, they do.
Back to that zoning plan, it sounds like you've got a multi-year, multi-phase rollout. Are you gonna share everything that's in the plans up front? And then
Oh, yeah,
adjust
it's all been,
this?
we had 3 public input meetings that showed year by year by year what it is.
We were at Stewart's Creek, we were at Siegel, and we were at Lamar, which is impacting.
Did we celebrate our magnet schools and like how amazing they are? My son I just looking up school somehow happened into McFadden and now he's a 6th grader at Central and
Oh, so they're together. My son's 6th grader at Central too.
just the success that they've had and how to apply that maybe to some of the other schools and get them, he's starting pre-algebra now already, which yours is too, I'm sure. I didn't start pre-algebra until what, 8th, 9th grade or something, so
Yeah,
that's a lot better.
yes.
You might want to mention your informative Sunday.
True, yeah. So every Sunday on our website, we do a Sunday message every Sunday that talks about updates of our school system. And we do it every single Sunday. It's 2 minutes long. It's on our link on our website at the very beginning.
Subscribe to it.
Yeah, right to me, it'll be there.
I know.
So I think I'm out of time, but I'll stay after that. I don't have to have another meeting till 5:30 with the county commissioners and I'm. Jonathan's not gonna yell at me. He's not on this committee. So, but
I was gonna see how long they were gonna keep asking questions.
Oh, I'm good.
That's always pretty good.
Yeah.
Gary, thank you so much. Jenny, I will say, that all ties in together. You're having a discussion with county commissioners. When they came in and talked to us about tax increases and so forth, I really think that John's suggestion about a newsletter or something would help because one of our members who has no kids in school go, why am I paying for schools? So, yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right, if nobody has anything else, we are adjourned for the day. Thank you so much.